Hey, Lips, you there, man? Sorry, I can't hear you right now. Trying to. Hey, Lips, you there? Hey, Lips, are you there? I'm sorry, I can't see.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's good.
hey, yeah. Great. Just 1 second, please. Uh, hi. Man, I'm sorry. Did I mess up the time? Because
I
uh
don't know. I signed in way early.
oh, okay. Because sorry,
I got nothing going on any right now anyway, so might as well. If we can get ahead, we're getting ahead. It's all good.
oh, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, how are you doing, man? You see, it's a nice day up there.
Yeah,
Pretty
all
good.
good.
Yeah, the reason why I invited you here is because recently I had the pleasure of checking out the new Anvil record, One and Only, and I have to say that I was very pleased how the overall album turned out, and it sounds fresh and tight as always. And even aside from the great album production, there is just plenty of catchiness and heaviness all around, and you can feel that from start to finish. And in comparison to your previous album, Impact is in, this one is much simpler in structure, but it's still very mean rock and roll album overall. I mean, how are you guys satisfied how the album turned out?
I think we're pretty damn satisfied. Can't complain. It came out exactly as planned, and that's a good thing.
No, I'm very happy to hear that. I mean, for a band such as yourself, like being on this planet for like the last 45 years or so, I have a hard time kind of imagining that you can have any difficulties during the whenever you make a new album during the recording or the songwriting process. But were you guys facing any challenges when you were particularly working for One and Only?
No, 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 no. Actually, it went very smoothly.
Really?
Yeah, it went very smoothly.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Recording, writing, everything. It was very, very quick, very, very, and pleasurable. No problem.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of standout tracks on this record, and the title track itself, it's got a very strong message to it, essentially stating this fact that's been kind of plaguing this modern day world of, met with a lot of problems surrounding originality and mediocrity. And this is one of the things that I just wanted to ask you because Anvil is like one of those bands that it is essentially one and only because there is no other band, a great band by the name of Anvil with the story such as yours, and another brand like band such as you guys that inspired countless other bands out there that came after you guys. I mean, what exactly inspired you to take on this particular lyrical subject regarding the originality and the musical mediocrity that the song One and Only deals with?
Well, that's my motto of life. It's what I've started out to be like as a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's been something that I've followed. I've followed those intuitions and that philosophy my entire life. So yeah, I was the kid that all the teachers had trouble with in the class because I was not like the other kids. I didn't want to be like the other kids, and I wasn't. Um, Obstinate, doubtful of authority.
Yeah. So it practically
Um,
hasn't changed ever since, yeah?
yeah, just, and always questioning things. And is that the only way to do it? Wait a minute. There's got to be a better way than that. More of that that kind of attitude. But since I was little, and I by the time I was 10 years old, okay, when my dad brought home a guitar for me, I began playing, but playing from not from copying, but from trying to create.
Yeah.
I mean, once your initial challenge is learning how to tune, and things that you might that in today's day and age you don't even think twice with. You got electronic tuners, you don't worry about things like that. But in the old days, they didn't have electronic tuners.
Yeah.
You, I guess they did, but they were called strobe tuners. But aside from strobe tuners, you would use either a pitchfork or
Yeah.
or piano, or you use a record,
Yeah.
and hopefully the record that you're taking the sample from is in tune, and is the turntable is turning the right speed. You can get your guitar in tune. But I mean that aside from that, you learning how to play chords was of course the first initial challenges. But my mother actually went out and bought, because she knew that I was a Beatles fan. She went out and bought the Rubber Soul Beatle book, which is had
Yeah.
all the chords and everything. So I learned all my chords from looking I could barely play the songs because they've got these really complex chords that you're virtually never going to use again.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole other issue about Beatle music. But it taught me the fundamentals to be able to start noodling around and figuring out, wow, this chord sounds good with that chord, this, that, the other. And I began creating because I had, by the time I was that age, I had little reel to reel batteryized cassette players. And I began immediately recording and experimenting. So that's how I learned. And my whole thing was, the whole thing was is that you don't get anywhere by playing somebody else's song.
Yeah, well, it depends on where you play. If you play like in cover bands that play at
Yeah, well,
weddings,
if you're a cover band, but that was not what I had in mind. If I'm going to be a
yeah,
cover band, I might as well be a bar mitzvah band. They more,
yeah, I
playing
agree.
playing
I
a
totally
bar
agree.
mitzvah or a wedding, being a wedding band, and playing Tom Jones material and dance music. You're going to make a hell of a lot more money than you are as a rock band. Because those bands get paid a bloody fortune and fed really well. Maybe that you're going to someone's wedding, you get the prime rib and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree on this. Um, but essentially, what I'd like to state about this album is, it is something that you can sit back, put it on, and enjoy it all the way through without putting too much thought about what is going on or paying attention to the slightest musical details. In some ways, it is like you're listening to an AC/DC album. You know exactly what you're gonna expect, and you just have to relax and, just be one with the music. I mean, was this the kind of approach that that you were trying to incorporate with this new album?
I think you're always trying to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of that has changed. You still want a very cohesive, enjoyable record on a whole overall picture. You want a certain level of consistency in songs. You don't want to get too. I think the biggest mistake is getting too complicated. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
so
Absolutely.
you don't really need to get that complicated. Not really. It's all about the feel of the song, the tempos and the kind of groove that each song has
Mm,
that makes that. And you don't want it to go on too long, and you don't want it to be too short. So you got to finding the right arrangements for these songs. It's really important because if it's too long and you've got too many verses, it gets boring to listen to, doesn't it?
yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
these songs are very, very well arranged. There's
Yeah, and
no
they're simple. That's the most important part, that they're simple.
simple to listen to.
Yeah, simple to listen to. I mean, even even if you go like heavier, like there are a couple of tracks that really stand out and kind of put me back on the way, just like this is one of the things that I wanted to bring up, is that this album combines, I mean, pretty much all of the albums before combined the old with the new when it comes to Anvil, like those kind of very heavy headbanging tunes from the 80s, like here Dead Man's Shoes and Blind Rage. I mean, did you always want to kind of do this in the way that you can balance something like more rock and roll, easy rock and roll stuff like Feed Your Fantasy, and the more kind of heavier stuff, and that's kind of borderline thrash metal in that sense?
You want both kind of songs. You want as many variables to your sound as you possibly can come up with. And the way you do it is with feels.
Yeah,
I've got I've got one of the greatest drummers in the world, and I like to utilize it.
yeah,
And having him play double bass drum in every song would be such a waste, because look at what wealth of great feels and things that you can hear the drums in all different kinds of songs.
yeah,
And that's what I strive for. Variables, variables. It must not be one linear thing. It has to have all different kinds of types of songs. Very, very important. But the thing that they have all in common is that they're memorable. You remember the hook line, you remember the chorus for every song that's on this record. And that's the same as on the Metal on Metal or Forge and Fire album. Every one of those songs you remember as a result of knowing the title of the song.
yeah,
Memorability is everything. And the
indeed.
way you get that is with your chorus lines. And these songs are all written from the chorus out.
Yeah.
Um, this is the main riff. This is where the chorus is going to sit. Now write the song around that. Build the song in a proper arrangement where you hear the chorus enough so that it catches your ear and remains there.
Yeah.
Um, that you have enough verse, not too much to make it boring. Yeah, I mean it's everything is properly arranged, very, very, very methodically arranged this time. And that's because I didn't do it with intervention. I did it between myself and my tape recorders and my
Yeah.
record. Figure it out on my own. Keep listening and listening to stuff over and over and figuring out what needs and what doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's a good approach. A lot of bands nowadays, they have this general issue when they come up with a song, they don't really revisit it even if it's like a day after or a couple of weeks after. The problem is they don't even bother to look at, oh, if is it a good idea, like after it's been sitting there for a while. Like you said this, I think it was like uh I think there was the song Feed Your Fantasy. I think you mentioned that the original idea for the chorus that you have was like Ride on the Sunshine, or was it like that something?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're experimenting with lyrics. You
Yeah.
know, Rob gives me lists of titles, and I try to fit them on the song. And I discovered how the chorus worked in Feed Your Fantasy, but it was I discovered it with using other words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Musically speaking, I'm looking for the notes and
Mm-hmm.
what the singing notes are, what the singing notes are, and what the syllables,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, of the lyric and how that rhythmically works within the song. So, Road to Sunshine is somewhat like Feed Your Fantasy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you know how to rhythmically pronounce those words, you can basically.
But Road to Sunshine was unsatisfying,
Yeah,
and it was satisfying because it only worked in in the front. And how
yeah,
do I explain this? You couldn't get both courses. You
yeah,
couldn't get there's a course that goes between the verses, and there's a course between the lines of
yeah.
the verse, and they're two different ones.
Mm-hmm.
One is elongated and it just goes, feed your fantasy. And the other one goes, feed your fantasy, what it's got to be, feed
Yeah,
your fantasy. There's two different chorus lines that happen in two different places. With Road to Sunshine, you can't go Road to Sunshine, Road to
yeah.
no.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
No, it doesn't work. It didn't work. But you could go Road to Sunshine. That worked, right?
yeah. I
But when
agree.
you tried to double it up, it didn't work. It doesn't work. So geez, until you find the right thing, it's tough. And then, I'm watching TV and the guy comes on and he's advertising a trip to Jamaica, and he's going, feed your fantasy. And I went, there's the title of the song right there.
Yeah, that's actually a good opportunity to kind of like you don't know exactly where to look, but once you do and it's there and you know it's there, you're just like, oh, that's it.
That's right. Because you've got there by deduction. It
Yeah.
didn't feed your fantasy, feed your fantasy. Oh, it's done. It's done. I found it. It's done. That's how
Yeah.
you know. You're looking for something and you can't find it. When you do, you know you found it. It's like a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
It's it's like a puzzle piece. Only one piece fits.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
have to think of it.
And
That's how I go about doing it.
yeah, and the fact that you mentioned the memorability, that it has to be memorable. It doesn't have to, it just it can't be like any words. I mean, one of the things that really.
No, no, I can't. Obviously, there's a prime example. That's a prime example, and it shows a couple of things. It didn't work in every instant,
Yeah.
in every application of what I wanted to do it. So it was completely limited. It was not. It was not. It wasn't. It had to be. I had to find something else, and it made itself very apparent. But in doing so, it made me come to realize how the melody works on the piece of music, and
Yeah.
what I was looking for that piece of music, because it has to work. It
Yeah,
has to work.
indeed. In
It
that
has to work. Vocally and musically, it has to work. You know, you can't have something that's disjointed and not working and record it and put it out. You can't do that.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know,
that's one of the things that always stood out for me, at least for with the majority of your discographies, that there is a good sense of like memorable stuff there. I mean, is it the song name? Is it the chorus that kind of highlights the song name? Or there's a specific situation. I wanted to bring this up. I know it's a bit of a weird one, but when I was getting into Anvil, like many years ago, there are just like the order of three songs that form such a weird sentence. It's from the first track's from the Absolutely No Alternative, and it's like old school Green Jesus, show me your tits. And imagine saying somebody old school Green Jesus, show me your tits. That's crazy. Yeah, it's like those song names just stand out to you, you know. I don't know. I can't imagine any other band doing the same as you guys do.
no, it's yeah, but that at the same time, the song "Show Me Your Tits," which was actually just called "Show Me," was a good idea, but it didn't
Yeah.
work
Okay.
on in another sense. People took that really the wrong way. I don't think they really came to understand that I'm writing about the legality of being able to take your shirt off, for a
Yeah.
woman to be allowed to take her shirt off, because it was about a Canadian law,
Mm-hmm.
about something that got implemented or got changed in Canadian law. It made all the news across the country. It's a big deal, and set precedents that now women, if it's a hot day out and they're working in the yard, they're allowed to take their shirt off,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be charged with anything, which I think is, it's up to a woman what she wants to do.
Yeah, of
Why,
course.
why, why is it against the law? Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine that's a very hard law, you know, to dictate. I mean, it's basically like rooting people out of freedom, but that's one of the things that's like, oh, it's legal at
Oh,
last.
that's it. There you go. Yeah, but there, yeah, or liberty, condemned liberty.
Yeah.
That, like that. What that's about. That's about losing the rights to
Yeah.
things. Now, if somebody goes and complains and makes a big complaint, they'll change the law, and now we'll lose that right in a blink,
Yeah,
because
because
one
it's a
or two
modern day
people
world and they do
complain.
that.
Now, that's what goes on in this world. One or two people complain, and they take out a whole situation for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
Like like
far-fetched.
just as an example, there's a lady who opened up a coffee shop, and I guess it's out of the zone. It's not. She opened it up in her living room. You know
Okay.
what I mean? She opened up the front window so that people could see in such a way, and set up like a little cafe in her front of her house. Okay, so fine, she's serving coffee and selling coffee. Well, the government came and shut her down. Why? Because someone complained.
Jesus Christ. It's enough
So
to
now they got a petition where there's something like 15,000 people have said leave her alone. Like, she's not causing any harm to anybody. And where are we going to get a coffee? Now you got to walk a mile to get the closest place to get a coffee. Thanks. You know what I
must.
mean? That's condemned liberty. That's how our society is working. It takes one person to wreck it for everybody. I'm telling you, man, it's craziness. It's craziness.
Yeah.
Over amplified, over amplified belly aching. You know.
Yeah, that's basically just like you know, those are the people that I usually like to call killjoys of life because you know they basically ruin all the things that people enjoy. And I can only imagine people going like, Now to go like walk like 10 miles to get a coffee and it's more expensive and it's not as good as this homemade coffee. Like you gotta be fucking kidding me.
That's right. And that is exactly what has happened. And one person wrecked it just by complaining. What are they complaining about? You got to wonder, what the hell are you complaining about? Like, really? I
Jesus.
don't know, man. It's a weird world, man. It's a weird world. That's all I can say. That we that's how what we do. That's the kind of stuff that goes on, and so it gives me stuff to write about. You know, obviously, when having a song called "Condemned Liberty," it's pretty true.
Yeah.
You know,
But I mean,
doing what are we doing, man? Before we know it, we're gonna be living in China. It's gonna be like
yeah.
China, be a dictatorship. You get to the point where you can't trust anything you hear. They're going to say you can't trust it. We're taking over.
Yeah.
You're going to trust us, or you trust nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that turns into, and people give up their rights and everything just for security. I feel unsafe. Ooh.
People really like to complain a lot
Yeah,
about something that's not really that big of a deal, especially nowadays. And like imagine this the peak of technology is somehow also the peak of human stupidity. I mean, how the hell am I supposed to like live a normal day life? How are you able to actually make things worse in this day and age just because, there's something that really kind of, makes you scratch your head just because, something so like it's pointless to make a complaint about it. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's how people function nowadays. I mean, what a crazy world we live in. I don't even want to get out of my house now.
Yeah, but and then there's the apathy too. No one does anything about it. There's nothing ever done about the things that there's serious implications and evidence that something stinks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No one does anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You never hear truth. At the end of the day, you can never hear the truth about what really happened.
You're just
What
living
really
in
happened at 9/11? What really happened in 9/11? There obviously there was three perfect demo jobs. Three perfect demo jobs.
Yeah,
You got to wonder, how the hell did they pull that off?
it's true. Yeah.
How did they pull that off? It's not just one building, it was three buildings. Perfect demolition jobs. And one of the buildings wasn't even hit by the
Yeah.
airplanes. I mean, why is there no real why is there no real uh, inquiry to what really happened? Why are there no real answers? They say there are, but some of it just doesn't add up. Don't I all I know is what I saw, and it looked to me, it and still does, like it was purposely done.
Yeah, I mean, just to change the course
You
of
know,
history.
and demolished perfectly. Perfect demolition. It's like, I don't know, man, something it's really hard to believe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe all the facts that they don't tell us. In the same way that it's hard to believe that President Kennedy was shot with one bullet,
Yeah.
that there was one bullet. I mean, that doesn't make sense either, right? Especially if you watch the footage that they have. I from my perspective, it looked like he was been hit twice, but I don't know. I see him lurch backwards. I see him lurch forward. I see him get shot twice. I don't know.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there isn't really much anything I can add to that. Only that even I am a bit puzzled about it because, a lot of times I just keep thinking, wow, people really want to, you know, keep the truth away just because they don't want to admit, okay, we did this for the purpose because we want to do things differently. This was a plot. This was the conspiracy. And of course, if anybody has the evidence, it's like Roswell or whatever, but I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
That's a
indeed.
whole, but it's also about truth is dying. It's about condemned liberty.
Yeah.
Don't we have a right to know that shit? And they're just beginning to divulge the fact that yes, there is stuff that we don't know what it is. They're just divulging that. Yeah, we're admitting there's UFOs. You're admitting there things that you don't know what they are. But
Yeah.
what else aren't you admitting that you never admitted up until now? At least they are admitting that there is stuff that they don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's
We don't know what this is. This is got a picture of it, but our people took pictures of it. We don't know what it is. Finally, people are imagining it. And they got answers for whatever they used to have. You know what I mean?
yeah, I know. I know. I understand you completely. Um, Look, just as a closing words, because we got like 7 minutes left. I mean, Lips, I have to say that it has been such an honor talking to you, man. This was a very wild conversation. I mean, this means a lot to me because Anvil has been one of the most important bands for me because I started getting into heavy metal, and I still recall that I covered Metal on Metal with my best friend on our first rehearsal ever when we were like 13 or 14 years old. And now I'm here talking to you. It means the world to me that you agreed to do this. And I gotta say, thank you for this wonderful chat. You're such a legend, man.
Thank you, man. You're very, very kind gentleman. Thank you.
uh, Look, I'm really looking forward to the release of One and Only, and I hope you guys will come to Serbia or maybe anywhere else in the Eastern Europe someday. I mean, just wanted to ask you, are there any kind of final words you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
Oh, not really. I just want peace on this fucking planet, you
Yeah.
know. That's what I'd really like to see very, very, very badly. Um, because I just we have to get out of uh, the framework and the thought of finding our differences. We should find our similarities.
Mm,
That's what we need to do as a whole human race. That's what we really need to do bad. More than finding the same God, more than no, find our similarities.
yeah.
That whether that and music is one of those things. There's metal people in every culture in every place on this planet. And it would be nice if that became a religion, and that we all got along, and we can look beyond our 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 brand name, like, you know what I mean by brand name,
Yeah.
what country you come from. That No, you belong to the human race. There's no such thing as racism. There's no such thing as hatred. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be. That people learn to have a conscience and have empathy for each other. That would be really, what a great world, eh? Well, I
Yeah.
can I can dream, and that's what I like to do. So
Yeah. We all dream big, and we all strive to dream bigger. But much less people nowadays dream bigger of a better world, and I'm really glad that you are one of them, be one of those people.
yeah, well, thanks very much. I appreciate the time that you put in, and that's great to meet you.
Yeah, likewise, man. Listen, take care and hope to see you live someday.
Okay, hope someday.
Yeah, okay, cheers, man. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.